Good afternoon. Welcome to Coach on Cam, a monthly webcast brought to you by the International Coaching Federation, Philippines Charter Chapter. Here we will spend 20 minutes talking about anything and everything about coaching. I am Jomari Mercado and I will be your host. In today's first episode, we will talk about credentialing, what it is, and why is it important in the coaching profession. Our guest is Miss Jackie Cañiza. Jackie is a credentialed life and leadership coach. She has over 15 years experience in corporate human resources with Avon Cosmetics and with Suyan Corporation. She has also spent over 15 years as a senior and business executive. She co-founded Haraya Coaching after retiring from her corporate career. She's a professional certified coach and a certified neurotransformational coach. Welcome, Jackie. Thank you for accommodating us considering your busy schedule.
Thank you so much, Jomari. Happy to be here.
Thank you again. Jackie, most of our viewers and listeners are coaches, but we expect some of them to be non-coaches who would like to learn more about coaching. So let me start with this. What is coaching?
That's a good place to start. If we follow the definition of ICF or the International Coaching Federation, they will define coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Sounds really good, right?
Right.
In simple terms, I
Sure.
guess, I would say the coaching is a conversation that helps bring out the best in ourselves. Many times people will confuse coaching with mentoring. And I think that's also a good place to start, defining what coaching is not.
Right.
With mentoring, you get a lot of downloading of information and knowledge and advice. And in coaching, that's not the case at all, right? Coaches do not give advice. We really ask a lot of questions to draw out from our clients what they would like to achieve for themselves and the answers that will bubble up as they go through the conversation with us. I
So
hope
you
that answers the
encourage
question.
you encourage your coachee to talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, 90% of the time, the coachee is the one who's talking in the conversation, right?
And you have to hold yourself back.
Yes, that comes with the training that coaches get. Sometimes we have to unlearn the talking default mode.
Correct, correct. And uh, when I introduced you earlier, I introduced you as a
Mm,
certified coach.
yeah.
What does that mean?
So maybe first, I think good to clarify that there is a difference in our world between certification or being certified and being credentialed, right?
Correct.
Um, because certified might mean that you attended a particular institution or school and completed the program of that school, right? So for example, I gained my certification for uh, neurotransformational coaching from Be Above. I gained my certification for advanced transformational coaching from Coach Masters Academy. So those are different schools that I get certifications from. Um, Being credentialed, on the other hand, especially under the banner of ICF, with the three letters that people will see after our names, diba? There's
Right.
ACC or Associate Certified Coach, PCC or Professional Certified Coach, and then Master Certified Coach or MCC. That means that as a coach, you've met certain requirements that the ICF has set in terms of the number of coaching hours you've had or practiced and the number of training hours that you spent learning about coaching. So the more hours you have, the higher the credential you're able to obtain. So kind of like having a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and PhD. So meron siyang levels.
So if I'm a certified coach, I am authorized or I am qualified to coach,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
But when I get credentialed, it is a recognition of my experience, the
Yes.
depth and breadth of my experience as a coach. Is that
Right.
correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
And you
Yeah.
are a PCC, right? You're a
Yes.
professional
Correct.
certified coach.
Correct.
What's having started as well, you started as a certified coach, then
Mhm.
became credentialed along the way.
Right.
Um, what was the difference from your
Mhm.
personal perspective of being credentialed?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I remember the first time I got my first credential, which is the ACC, no? And at that point, it felt so fulfilling because first, you know that you've passed certain stringent requirements, no, that the ICF has. And so it gave me confidence as a coach to actually um, put myself out there and say to the world that look, I'm actually a professional and I do this for a living and I practice at a global standard. So that's what the credential I think helps us coaches to gain that kind of confidence and pride that you're able to meet those international standards.
Well, to help our viewers and listeners on this one, what did
Mhm.
it take to be credentialed?
So for credential, in that first level, you would require 100 hours of coaching
Ah,
practice.
okay.
So, and there you have to have coached at least 8 people within those 100 hours. If and also you've been trained or underwent 60 hours at least of coach training, right? So that's the first level, and then it goes higher from there. So at PCC or professional certified coach, that means you've practiced for at least 500 hours. And then for master certified naman, that's 2,500. Quite a big jump ano, from PCC to master certified. But
So to
those
get
are
to
the
500
hours.
hours, how long was that? I mean,
Um,
over how many months or was it years?
I got my PCC 2 years after I started practicing. Yeah.
Okay, so that not that long, but
Not that
and in
bad.
the
Yeah, not that bad.
meantime, how do you still remember how many coaches you had in that
Oh
period?
gosh. In that period, maybe, oh gosh, maybe at about 50 or so.
So you've
No, more
helped
than
more
50
than
for sure.
50
No, more
people in
than
the
50 for
process,
sure. Yeah, more
right?
than 50. Mm-mm.
And you talked about your personal
Mm.
reaction to being credentialed. I'm a professional. I am recognized from a global standard. How about your coaches? Do you think they felt the difference that I'm dealing with a credentialed coach as against a certified coach?
Yeah, if a client works with a credentialed coach, I think the main benefit is that they know that their coach has met a certain standard of coaching, right? As far as core competencies and code of ethics are concerned, that there is that minimum requirement that the coach has been able to meet. And if you work with a coach that has higher levels of credential, it also shows you how seriously they're taking their profession or craft, right? It's like going to a doctor. If your doctor is an MD, you know they've gone through rigors of study and practice. Um, and so there's a level of confidence there. When they start to specialize in a certain field, you gain even more assurance that they've studied that area even more. And so they're much more credible and you'd feel more comfortable going to that particular doctor, diba? So it kind of
Well,
works, I guess,
that
in the same way.
that's a great analogy. I mean, yeah, really, because it's like am I going to a doctor quick quick or am going to a specialist?
Right. Yeah. Diba? I mean, you want someone who really has studied the craft, who has taken the rigors of understanding what is going on in the process. And because asking questions is easy enough to do, right? But knowing why certain questions will work better than others, understanding the impact that those questions might have on your coachee, that comes with both the experience and the study of coaching.
I and I'm glad you pointed that out. It is the experience, it is the
Yeah.
number of hours that you put in,
Mm,
because
mm.
graduating from a course to be certified as a coach, it doesn't stop there, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a continuing journey. There's always something new to learn and to gain. Um, and with every hour that you add to your practice, that's more learning for you, that's more experience for you, and then all of that add up as you work with more clients.
Let's work on a couple of stories.
Sure.
Can you tell me what was your best experience with a coachee as a credentialed coach, and why being credentialed made that difference?
Oh my goodness, where to begin? I've worked with a lot of amazing clients. Maybe just the general storyline of what I find to be very, very fulfilling, right? Um, there there are clients who will come in, especially at very senior leadership roles of the organization, right? They're at where they are because they're successful. They've been very good at what they do. Um, and to see that there is so much more that they can learn from themselves, right? That to me is what makes it so fulfilling. You ask one question and suddenly light bulbs go off in their minds, and they realize, oh my goodness, that's
I
it.
never
That
thought of that.
I never thought of that, and yet they
Right.
just did.
And
And
you having come from the corporate world as well, right? You
hmm,
can relate to that.
oh
I mean,
yeah, for sure,
if the shoe were on the other foot,
for
you
sure.
most probably have felt the same way, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times, especially as you lead in organizations, diba? Your tendency is to think that, okay, I've been there, I've done that, and maybe there's not so much else to learn.
I already know that,
Yes, exactly.
right?
When you realize that, oh, actually, I can be better. I can learn more. I can, improve on certain ways of being and leading. And if I just, am asked the right questions and prompted by perhaps working with a coach.
Can you remember the one quote or statement given to you by a coachee that made you feel this is all worth it?
Oh my goodness. I remember one coachee who shared with us as in our team, um, that they got to a place where they learned to love themselves. That to me was just, I mean, it brought tears to my eyes, because you get the sense that this person might have had, ways of viewing themselves and now have shifted. And to say that out loud, that takes a lot of courage, because not everybody can really articulate.
Especially if the coachee is a high level executive
Yeah,
who is well
right,
respected in the industry, and then he tells you that.
right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
And that just highlights again what you said earlier, that it is not you as a coach, as a credential coach, telling your coachee. It is the coachee discovering it for himself or herself, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And when they realize that they can, that's so freeing, that's so empowering, and the level of confidence that they gain in themselves is just amazing.
let's
Amazing.
let's go to the other extreme. So
Sure.
yes, these situations are very fulfilling, very satisfying. Makes you want to go to, okay, I'm going to go to my next coachee and do the same thing to that coachee, right?
Mm.
But of course, there are bad things that happen. Uh, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but can you share one?
Um, well, I wanna speak to that that phrase of, I want to do the same thing with the next coachee, right? I think what I've learned over the years is that you never know what you will get. in a coaching conversation. And so having expectations to begin with is not a good idea. I think that's one of the lessons I've learned, and quite the hard way. Especially as a new coach, I would remember, you're going in there, you have a very positive intention as a
I'm
coach.
going to change the world.
That's what brings us together, right? We want to
Right.
help, we want to give of ourselves, and we know that coaching can be very powerful. And so we come in and we're very, optimistic. And then you're faced with a client who perhaps may not be ready at that time. And I have come across clients who, at the time will be there because they were asked to be there. My boss said I needed coaching, and so here I am, right? If
So,
that's
so
the
right from the outset, there is already that
exactly,
barrier.
there is a resistance, there is a barrier, there is a mindset that I don't need this, I don't need help. And so, I do tell my clients at the very beginning that you will gain by how much you put into the process. And so, that's what I love about the ICF definition of coaching, right? It's a partnership, eh? And so
Correct.
in that partnership, we're both giving 100%. And if one of us is not, I can't give 110 because you're giving 90, right? It's going to be uneven. It's not going to be a partnership. And so we both have to be giving equal amounts of energy and of ourselves. So if that's not happening, then there is a likelihood that the coaching may not be as effective as it could possibly be.
And again, you talked about it's the experience that helped you get to that point, right?
Mm,
So there
mm.
will be really highs and there will be some lows in the process, right? So
Yeah.
in a nutshell, how has credentialing made that difference to you?
The credentialing, I think, especially in the journey I had towards the PCC level, because that came with an advanced coach certification, right? I had to go through additional training. And in that journey, when you're first starting out as a coach, you're very focused on the framework, the kind of questions you ask. Am I asking it the right way? You're listening for specific cues that will say, oh, this is the next step that I need to take. And to be honest, when I went through my advanced training, I learned to let go of that. I learned to trust the process. I learned to be more present with myself and my client. And that has made a world of difference, I think, in the way that I coach. So when I got the credential for PCC, that kind of sealed the competence that I gained. And so that also says to me that, yeah, I'm able to coach at this level because there are specific markers, right, that ICF will look for. And to me, the main difference, from that level onwards is the kind of presence that a coach can have in that conversation.
Well,
Such that you have no expectations and you will
right.
allow for it to grow organically where it will.
Well, the way you just delivered it right now makes me feel so confident that if I get you as a coach, I know that I can trust you.
Aw.
Seriously, it's very interesting how credentialing has allowed you to put together experience and continuous learning to get to
Yes.
where you are.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
question: what's next for
Hmm.
Jackie Cañiza?
Oh my
Is it
goodness.
MCC?
That is the plan. That is the goal. I'm working my way towards that. Every day is an opportunity to get closer and closer. I have also learned that this is going to be a natural process for me. Because I think every coach has their audience. People gravitate towards you because you're Jomari, and I can relate with you and I can trust you. So I feel like coaches find us as well. Um, and so when that happens, then it will happen. I
When
trust
it
that it's all going
happens,
to happen when it's the right
it will
time.
happen. Right.
Yes, yes.
You know, I could spend hours talking to you.
Hi, thank
This has
you.
been so
Me too.
interesting, and I really enjoy this. And I'd like to thank you very much for the time that you have spent with
Thank
us.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So
That's a wrap for
appreciate
our
it.
first episode. Thank you once again, Jackie, for sharing your valuable knowledge with our audience. This episode will be available for viewing on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Please do send your comments and suggestions via the ICF Philippines on Messenger. It's been a pleasure hosting this, and we hope to see you next month for another interesting session on the wonderful world of coaching. Thank you, and please stay safe. Bye.